If you enjoyed this show, then make sure you check out the other great shows on the Legion Podcast Network, like Cinema Psyops, Cinema Beef, Devour the Podcast, Duncan and Bo Come Correct, Exploding Heads Horror Movie Podcast, Friday the 13th, Get Slayed, The Hellming Power Hour, Hello, This is the Doom Show, Hero Hero Go Show, Kill the Cast, Underwater Kaiju from Outer Space, Jerry Hates Action, Legion After Dark, Mental Health, Obsessive Cinema, Discourse, Pick Six Movies, the podcast by The Cemetery, the podcast on Haunted Hill, the Psychosemantic Podcast, Rick Radio, House of Wax, Dude Looks Like the 80s, Rabbit and Red Radio, the Shadecast, Short Bus Cinema, Two Drink Minimum Commentaries, the VD Clinic, Who Will Survive Horror Podcast, and Witch vs. the Doomsday Clock. With such a wide spread of shows, there is guaranteed to be a niche for you to fall in love with. Horror, politics, movies, books, sex, music, commentaries, health, video games, kaiju, action, news, comedy, and opinions that would most likely get you killed in some parts of the world. We are proud to bring you some of the best podcasting in the world. Check us out at www.legionpodcast.com, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and any other dark corner of the internet where podcasts can be found.
Years and still going strong.
Everybody's a suspect!
You're listening to Rabbit and Red.
Robert Shaw was a tough motherfucker.
Right.
They don't make that anymore. He wanted to punch Richard Dreyfuss on the set he couldn't stand because he's a pussy.
Fuck you.
God damn you.
Welcome to Rabbit and Red Radio.
And I know that you like Jason Takes Manhattan, but my question to you is, why?
Okay, hey, pal. Okay, you're gonna tell me Halloween. You know what makes me mad about you, Mike? I'm gonna tell you one day.
Yes.
You know what makes me mad? The Halloween 6, Halloween effing 6 is your favorite movie?
It certainly is.
Jason Paul
Together. Look, now it all worked out. You're running it now, so.
Yes, that's kind of, yes. So I did want to mention my experience meeting Kevin Smith. And I know you're a huge Kevin Smith fan yourself, Cody.
True.
Yes. Well, I went into this. My brother ended up getting me the tickets for my 40th. He was like, okay. He only turned 40 once. It's worth the $7.50 a pop for tickets. So I ended up going with Joey T, who does Jacket Audio Podcast. That's another podcast. So we went there. It was a nerve-wracking experience. You know me, I'm a very emotional person. I kept my emotions in check the whole time, like waiting, for him and Jay. And the whole thing is they were going to bring you into a room and you got 10 minutes with them and you could basically say whatever you want to, you just talk to them about whatever. So they bring us in and he was extremely nice. Jay was extremely nice. I talked to him about how I loved his work and how he inspired me with films and all that stuff. I had said that I do a podcast. I've had many people on over the years. You are one person that I have not been able to get. He's like, really? You haven't been able to get me? And I said, no. I contacted your mother-in-law, Jay's wife, all of your set representations on IMDb Pro, and I got nothing. So he's like, well, we can remedy that right now. Liv, that was his assistant, he's like, give Mike your email address, and we will set up a time for me to come on his podcast, and it'll be a great thing. So did that. I waited maybe 2 weeks, and I contacted his assistant. And she was like, well, yeah, we can definitely set this up. He's on the road. So as Kevin said, they're just driving. So he pretty much has nothing but time except when a show's going on. So we can pretty much make whenever time work, whatever works for him. That's great. We can do it. So she got back to me maybe a day later and she's like, is this a personal appearance or can he just like phone in or video in? I said, Skype is normally how we do it, so that's not a problem, whatever. And she's like, okay, and then she's like, well, he might not have the time to do it now, so we might not be able to do it until after the tour's over. So I said, that's fine. So I waited until the tour was over, and she said, I'm going to forward your information to Jordan and Chelsea, who run Smodcast. Jordan is Jay's wife, so she handles like a lot of that stuff, I guess. And I contacted them maybe 2 or 3 times since, and nothing. Totally blown off.
Well, hopefully it's just a mistake. They've just overlooked it. These guys probably get all kinds of contacts through there. So might try contacting them again.
That's something that I thought about. Yeah, I was definitely kind of upset over it just because it's Kevin Smith, and I really do appreciate his work, and he really is, to me, a very good filmmaker. That's kind of where we're at with that. It's just, I don't know. I guess it kind of threw me for a loop,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it was kind of a letdown. I mean, one of your idols. I mean, I'd be the same way, in that situation. But, Mike, tell me more about what you got to talk to him about whenever you were actually in the room with Jay and Silent Bob.
Well, he did give me a hug, so he did touch me. I thought that was very, very nice.
He's a hugger.
Well, and I did, now after the Corona stuff, he probably won't be huggy anymore. But what is it? I did tell him that I enjoyed Tusk very much. And I said I thought that was a very good film because it's a different film for him. It was a departure from really anything he's done. And I really, I appreciate
absolutely, and that's why I only watched Tusk like a couple of weeks ago for the first time. And how big of a horror fan I am, but right. I was so skeptic over it. I was like, I love Kevin Smith, but I didn't want to watch a film, and I even like Jersey Girl. Okay,
I did too.
But I was like, I don't want to be disappointed in one of my idols,
Right, definitely.
And then I watched it, and I loved the movie. I thought it was a great film.
Oh, there's definitely nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, really, it's just because that transformation from human to walrus, and Michael Parks was just amazing.
Yeah, he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, and I think I
pun intended.
And I don't know how. See, I forget because I heard a while ago. I think he had Justin Long on his podcast, and they actually talked about Tusk. And the whole thing with Michael Parks was he, I think, had a stroke or some other sort of ailment, like right before they started shooting, and he was still recovering from that. So there was a point where he just couldn't remember lines very well or anything like that. And when he would go off and have these tangents, in the movie with the character, those were real. Those weren't acting. He was really frustrated.
I can't believe that. I mean, he sold it. I mean,
yeah, it's definitely one of those. I really, I don't think people give that enough credit, and I think a lot of people think that it's just not good because they're like, well, he's a walrus. What's good about somebody being a walrus? And it's it's beyond that. It's it's just different. Just like Red State for him was different, like a total departure from the Kevin Smith that you're used to, from the Jersey trilogy and all that stuff.
No, I haven't seen Red State. That's
no?
Red State and Cop Out are, as far as I know, the only two Kevin Smith films I haven't seen.
Yeah, well, Cop
And
Out.
I know I'm ashamed of myself to say I'm as big a Kevin Smith fan as I am and haven't seen all of his movies, but I mean, they're definitely on my list, and it's a very long list.
Red State is definitely, because Red State is definitely something that, like, that was his first film that I felt was really just like a great departure for him. And Cop Out, I saw it. It's definitely not a Kevin Smith film, but then again, he didn't write it, so you can't really, fault him for that. That was like a Warner Brothers thing, and they brought him
definitely
in.
a studio film, and his films, all of his films,
Right.
usually scream independent,
Yeah, and Cop Out definitely does not, and you can definitely tell that Bruce Willis was probably a handful to work with.
Well, yeah, I've seen interviews with Smith expressing his displeasure of working with Bruce Willis. He said it wasn't like he was really rude or anything or hard to work with on the set. He said just every day he acted like he didn't want to be there. Which, the guy's been doing action flicks at the point that Cop Out was filmed. He'd already been doing action flicks for like 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
So I can understand being burnt out. But honestly, the reason I've stayed away from Cop Out, as big of a fan as I am of Bruce Willis and Sean William Scott, I really, really do not care for Tracy Morgan. I have never thought anything he has ever done that I've seen has been even remotely funny.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot to deal with, kind of like an acquired taste. Like if you're not really into that sort of humor, especially at least what he does, he's more on the side of screeching and screaming about everything. I
love Sam Kinison. He's one of my favorite comedians of all time. So, I can't give Tracy Morgan credit. I'm sorry.
No, he's definitely not one of mine either, just because he did. I don't know. I just never, I think I feel bad with him because he kind of came in after like Sandler and Farley left Saturday Night Live. And they were like, prime SNL for me, I guess. And then after they left and he came in, I was like, I can't get into this guy. I'm not going to really like anything he's ever done. He kind of took SNL away from me. That's just my thing, I guess.
Hey, no, I totally get that. And, I'm not trying to be too hard on the guy because, he obviously works hard and he has a huge fan base.
And he did almost get killed by a Walmart truck.
Yeah, that's still coming out of my paycheck. Sore subject, Mike.
Oh, boy. That's not good. Oh, that's right. Do you still have the projector and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I've just acquired more projectors. It's like I'm thinking of starting to plant them. I live on a farm, so I have a little bit of land. So I'm thinking about starting planting them and harvesting them. See if they'll grow, harvest them.
Yes.
But yeah, I have more projectors than probably any normal human being should.
So how many movies would you say you watch in a given week? So I can feel bad that I don't watch hardly any.
You're not going to feel bad, buddy, because between two kids that I get 50% of the time, work and taking care of a farm, if I'm lucky, I get to watch the weekends I don't have my kids.
Right.
I might get to watch 2 or 3 movies during the weekend. Usually my girlfriend will come over on the weekends I don't have my kids. She'll come over on Saturday, and we'll just sit because she's got kids too, and we're both busy all the time. And we're both in management. It's very hectic for both of us. We'll sit though and just kind of unwind and watch movies. And I make her watch a bunch of horror movies. Well, she's a horror movie fan, but we'll sit and she pretty much just watches. I'll ask her what she wants to watch, and she'll say, whatever you want to watch, and that type of thing. And I'm like, I like some pretty obscure shit, honey. But she sits through it, and most of the time, 99% of the time, she really enjoys whatever I throw at her. But yeah, answering your question though, probably if I'm lucky, I'll get to watch maybe 2 or 3 movies a week.
Yeah, that's still more than me in most cases. What is it? Well, that's just because I have to be in the mood to watch a movie. If I'm not in the mood, then I won't. You know, I can't like force myself to just like, I believe me, I've tried to just put something on and sit down, and it just doesn't work. If I'm like sitting there for like 5 or 10 minutes and I'm not into it, I'll just be like, no, I have to.
Oh, yeah, I understand that completely. I do the same thing. I'll spend more time like with Netflix and Hulu. I'll look through movies once I finally sit down in the evening. I'll look through movies for like 30 minutes to an hour trying to pick something to watch. And most of the time I don't even pick anything to watch. I'll just give up on it and go to bed.
Yeah,
or if I do start something like you were saying, I'll watch it for 10, 15 minutes and not be into it and be like, okay, I'll shut it off and go get up and do something else.
Now, does the girlfriend know who Donald Pleasance is?
You know, I haven't asked her, Mike, and that's kind of shameful to say because I'm a huge Donald fan too. I haven't run her through any of the original 6 Halloweens. But she's seen some of them. I mean, I watched Halloween 2018 with her, and she really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm sure she knows who the character is. I don't know if she's familiar with the Donald.
How about we take a break, and then when we come back, we'll get into some Kevin Smith deep dive. All right, we will be right back after this.
This is Bo from LegionPodcasts.com. Hey, it's been a crazy time, and when the world gets nuts, we're happy to offer some old-fashioned podcast entertainment. But for some folks, getting a laugh out of a show isn't really helping these days. People who depend on tips in their bartending jobs or have been put on furlough with no pay till the worst of this coronavirus threat is past. That's a tough spot. That's why we set up a GoFundMe for members of our community, a sort of grand-scale take a penny, leave a penny. For people like myself, for whom the recent disruptions haven't kicked us out of work, well, we can drop a few of those extra pennies in the GoFundMe jar. For those who are directly affected by recent events and find themselves looking for money to pay the electric bill or keep the water on, well, how about you give me a shout at B-O, at legionpodcasts.com. Let me know the situation and what you need, and we'll do our best to make life a little easier. And you can find links to the GoFundMe on the front page of legionpodcasts.com, on our Facebook group page, or on Twitter at Legion Podcasts, where it's the pinned tweet. For those of you who are able, thanks in advance for chipping in. And members of our community who need a hand, hey, here we are. Remember, stay safe, stay healthy, and we're all going to get through this together. Legion isn't just a name, it's who we are. Thanks for listening to all the shows here on Legion Podcasts, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Rabbit and Red is back, and we're getting ready to take a road trip with Kevin Smith. So everybody hop in, buckle up, and light your, whatever you're smoking, because we're going to take on Kevin Smith classic Dogma and his newest film, The Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
That was very dynamic, Cody. I love that. You did a great job. Very, very dynamic sounding.
Well, thank you, sir.
You rivaled myself with that one. So Dogma was one of those movies that I wanted to go see that in the theater, and I never got around to it. There's very few.
Same here.
Clerks, I never saw in the theater. I saw that on a VHS that my cousin found in a junker car. Mallrats was VHS. Chasing Amy, I did see in the theater. Dogma, for whatever reason, I wanted to go. Don't know why I never made it there. But it was one of those movies that when I got it and I watched it, I was very surprised when I saw Hans Gruber appear from Die Hard. I was like,
oh, yes,
wow.
The legendary Alan Rickman. Yes.
And I was mostly surprised because I thought that he was dead after Die Hard. But then I realized Die Hard is only a movie and he's alive. So, but it just seemed like it was very different, like a very different type of film for him. He did not, I don't know, like he always seemed like a higher brow actor for me. And it seemed like maybe a Kevin Smith film was just maybe a little out of his wheelhouse, so to speak.
Yeah, but I mean, what it was like a year or two after they did Galaxy Quest, which I love.
Well, yeah.
And then they did all those Harry Potter movies, which...
Oh, yeah.
Which that's what breaks my heart for the most part, that all these millennials, you say Alan Rickman, they're like, oh yeah, Professor Snape. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. I
Don't
can't.
You talk about my Hans Gruber that way.
Exactly. I have a machine gun. Ho ho ho. Or the yippee-ki-yay motherfucker. That's it. So, before this show, when was the last time you think you saw Dogma in the first place? Like, it's probably been a while since you've...
probably since the initial release. Like I said, I didn't see it at the theaters, but I did watch it on VHS. I rented it. I remember the advertising. They didn't have, not the poster, but they had like the big cardboard cutout at my local video store, and I remember seeing it in there. I'm like, I got to check this out. And that was actually before I saw Clerks. So I was just, it was right after Ben Affleck and Matt Damon had won the Oscar for Good Will Hunting. So, and I was like, I had saw Good Will Hunting, so I'm like, both these guys are in it. I'll give it a shot. And I still didn't know who Kevin Smith was.
So Dogma was your first Kevin Smith film.
Yeah.
So what was your impressions?
I got the humor, and I just remember thinking through the whole thing. I'm like, wow, this is edgy. This is going to piss a lot of people off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it did.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that Linda Fiorentino who played, I forget her fucking character name at this point, but
Bethany.
That's it, Bethany. Yes, I heard that she was. I mean,
what happened to her? Because she was in Men in Black,
right?
She did Dogma, and I mean, she was in a bunch of stuff in the late '90s, and I just don't recall seeing her in anything.
No, I think after that she just kind of disappeared. Let me check because I have the internet up. I wonder if she's still alive. Let's see. I'm wondering if she's alive or if she's dead.
Yeah, hopefully she didn't coke out.
I would hope not. Definitely hope not. She is, let's see. I mean, she did a lot of like, oh my God, she's 60 years old. Wow. She's still alive. Wow, it looks like her last, I'm trying to see when her last movie role was. Let's see here. Is she still even active? I don't know. It looks like kind of, at least from what I'm seeing, after like about, she did What Planet Are You From? And some other movie in like 2000. And I think after that, I don't see anything really after 2000. So for the better part of 20 years, I don't think she's really been in anything.
Yes, she retired from acting, Look, Emilio Estevez, he did the same thing, I think he owns him and his wife own a winery now. Yeah. Kind of like Adrienne King. Of course, she's still acting, but,
yeah.
Oh, and have you drank any of the Crystal Lake wines?
No, I haven't. I mean, I've thought about it, but I'm not really a
Yeah,
wine...
me too. I'm like, I don't know if I want to commit to that, man. That's a really cheap wine.
Yeah.
I'll sign every bottle. You can buy a whole case for $20. I'm like, man, that can't be good wine.
Yeah, I would think that they're a little more, if it's good wine, it's supposed to be a little more expensive than that, I think. That's
But I need to order a case and get it autographed just for my youngest daughter. I named after Adrienne King.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Little Adrienne, AJ, we call her.
That's well, Adrienne is.
But it was cool. The day she was born, Adrienne King actually messaged me and congratulated. So that was,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I still haven't bought her wine.
She's waiting for you to do that, Cody. You need that one.
I'm sure, yeah. Hey, she's making plenty of money at the conventions.
Oh, of course, without a doubt. I guess Good Will Hunting was the first time you saw Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
That's how I was introduced to them. And then, like I said, with Dogma, I still didn't, it was one of those movies I didn't go to look and see who directed it and what other films he'd done. Really, about a year later, I just happened to cross Clerks on a movie channel, and it just blew me away. And I was like, I got to see who, it was, black and white. And I started off watching, I'm like, what the hell is this, And after watching it, I mean, like I said, it really made an impression on me. And I watched it with one of my childhood friends I grew up with, and it really blew him away too. And he's not near as big a movie nut as I am, but we both, after that, kind of really started delving into the Kevin Smith catalog, as small as it was back then. I mean, but before Dogma, we had Chasing Amy, Mallrats, and Clerks was it, right?
Yeah. And then after that, Dogma came after that. Then he went to Jay and Silent Strike Back, and then and then I think after Strike Back was Clerks 2 was after Strike Back, and I was honestly really surprised now that Clerks 3 is coming, because he did say that at the Reboot Roadshow. He said about Clerks 3.
Yeah, I guess. Well, he was going to do Clerks 3 before the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, but they couldn't get. He couldn't get. Can't remember his name. The guy who plays Randall.
Jeff Anderson. Yeah. I don't know what happened between them, but they had some major falling out, it seemed like, and I don't know why.
Well, I didn't know until recently that Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes had a pretty huge falling out. Even during the making of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, because of Jason Mewes' drug use and not weed. He was into the hard shit, and at one point Kevin Smith called off filming. He said, "Fuck it, go do all the drugs you want to do. You ain't got to worry about doing a movie now." And that's what led to their podcast they did for years after that, that Jay and Silent Bob Get Old podcast.
Yeah.
It was him mainly because Jason Mewes wanted to talk about, his recovery and be able to, talk with people while he was still in the process, which, I mean, never-ending process of recovery. But he wanted to be able to, basically make his own support group, I guess. And and that all led up and culminated in him here, I think, year before last, he finally directed his first film.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did. Shit. I actually bought it, and I didn't watch it yet.
I haven't seen it either, but...
The Method. And there's like a bunch of people in it that do cameos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like he's got... Smith does a cameo. I used to have the case right here, and then I think I ended up copying it. So I put it back in the totes. But it has like 20-some names in it or something. So, like, bigger names, or at least within the Kevin Smith universe. Except, Jeff Anderson isn't in it. He's not in it, but still. Jeff Anderson, whatever they had, like, as an issue or whatever, I don't get it, because Jeff Anderson, the way that I see it, he's only he wrote and directed one movie called Now You Know, and I think that was around that Clerks 2 was done. It was either before or after Clerks 2, because I think Clerks 2 was when they had their falling out. So it really makes me wonder, like, why you really, it's like, if you think you're like such Hollywood royalty, it's just, that's not the case. You've made one movie, you basically are known for Clerks, so why do you just not want to do it?
Yeah. I mean, surely he didn't make enough money off that, because even Jason Mewes said up till Clerks 2, he was still doing carpentry jobs. He was working a regular job up till then.
I'm sure. I mean, But that's why,
and that's 10 years, almost 10 years after Clerks, and he's still working a regular job. And Les fucking Randall, really invested his money, a little bit of money he made off Clerks. Well, I can't see why he would pass up doing more mainstream stuff,
I mean, because I think it took him forever to agree to do Clerks 2 in the first place. Because that, Clerks 2 was, 12 years after Clerks. So it's like, I think it took a while.
94 was Clerks, and what was Clerks 2?
Clerks 2 was 2006. Yeah.
Oh.
2006.
You got to think how odd it had to be for them, though. I mean, none of them really made, besides maybe Kevin Smith, made any money off Clerks.
Right. Oh, no, definitely not.
And Kevin Smith didn't make a lot of money off Clerks, but I mean, he's a working director by this point. Has made several films. And these other guys, at least Jason Mewes, who was, his co-star in the film, has not made enough money to where he's still having to work a regular hourly job. He's still doing carpentry work 12 years later.
Yeah.
Well, he's always got work with Kevin Smith.
Or at least from what I understand, like with Mewes, because his daughter does make a cameo in Reboot. I'm wondering if, obviously, because his daughter's name is Logan Lee Mewes. So I'm guessing that was a Wolverine and Stan Lee reference. I'm guessing that he got that from.
Oh, sure. I wouldn't be a bit surprised, with Kevin Smith, Harley Quinn Smith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
was so cool. Which I don't want to skip ahead. I know we're on Dogma now, and we haven't talked about Dogma at all yet.
No.
That was so cool. The David, his name and naming his daughter in the movie, her character, the Millennium Falcon. Had a real, really named her Harley Quinn. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, that was great.
I mean, it's kind of like a boy named Sue. She either had to get tough or die.
Shit, she was in that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that I still have to watch.
She was in that?
Harley, yeah.
How did I miss that?
Kevin's been, ever since he found out, before the movie even came out, he's been raving that she's in that fucking thing. And how he loves Quentin and how Quentin put her in his movie. And it was a whole fucking thing. I don't think she has. I mean, I thought she had kind of a sizable role, but maybe it's not that big.
I can't believe I missed it. I've only saw it once though, so I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it because it's a movie. It's got like a 3-hour runtime, but I mean, it is. And I've been a Tarantino fan from the beginning. I mean, not like standing up on the bleachers showing my tits, kind of Kevin Smith, fucking Quentin Tarantino. Bad. No, this, in my opinion, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is his best film.
I still have to. That's the one of his that I still have to watch. I haven't seen that yet.
The way they recreate 60s Hollywood, Sunset Strip, it's just amazing. You feel like you're watching a late 60s movie.
For me, I've always loved Pulp Fiction. I've always loved that one. And I mean, I've loved, more since, but Pulp Fiction was the first Tarantino movie I saw.
I love Pulp Fiction, but I will say that this movie, I mean, the way it intertwines, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with it enough to know that the Manson murders or the whole backdrop. It's not the main storyline, but it's like the B storyline. But the way it all turns out, and I'm not a huge Brad Pitt fan. I never have been. I mean, I really like several of his films, but I'm not on the Brad Pitt bandwagon, and even less so on the DiCaprio bandwagon. I mean, I've never been a big fan of his.
Right.
All the way back since Titanic. I think probably Critters. What was it? Critters 3 is probably, 3, probably my favorite role of his. And What's Eating Gilbert Grape was probably the most believable.
But did do that very well.
But no, I love both these guys in the movie. The movie, you just got to watch it, Mike. And everybody listening, all three of you, everybody go out, Don't rent it. Just buy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because it's worth the money. You will watch it multiple times. Even though I've watched it once, I am going to watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
Especially if you have any kind of affection for 60s cinema. The old 60s TV shows, and it shows like the behind the scenes. You're really the movie is a character study, and it's damn near perfect. I mean, you just got to see it, and the ending will blow your mind. I will say the last 15 minutes of the film will absolutely floor you.
You know, and it's really a shame that you say that, like, it's a love letter to, like, late 60s TV and stuff like that. It's a shame that he couldn't focus on early 60s TV and get in there with the Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best. Father Knows Best ran for
it's not too big a departure, Mike. I mean, I love those shows growing up, too. And I know you'll be able to appreciate it watching it. Just watch it.
So, you said something that just made me think. You said, what was it? Brad Pitt plays DiCaprio's stunt double in the movie?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm thinking of both of them in my head because I don't have pictures in front of me. How in the hell does that work?
Yeah, he's taller than him. Well, a lot of stunt doubles. I mean, they get the hair right, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess facial-wise, they don't have to be exactly the same.
No.
Because you don't get a close-up of the face with this double anyway, so. Oh, no, now it makes sense. When I saw Brad Pitt accept an award and he said he would ride Leo's coattails any day or something like that. Maybe that kind of makes sense now. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, probably Best Supporting Actor or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. That makes it makes sense. I didn't get it before, but now I think I actually kind of get it. But so I'm looking at some Dogma stuff here.
Oh, yeah, we probably better get back on track before we make this like a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah, we should get back to Dogma a little bit, I guess. But I'm looking here, and it's weird. I did know this before, but I guess it kind of like left my brain. But Smith actually wrote Dogma before Clerks.
See, I didn't know that.
And he kind of like put the script away because obviously, I think Clerks was made for $27,000. I think he just ran up all his credit cards. I think that's what the first one was made for. I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not making Dogma for $27,000. So yeah, he shelved it because he wanted the proper visual effects, and you're not going to be able to make it on the budget that he had. So that's why that never happened. It says that Mewes memorized the entire script before the rehearsals even. So and he said he did that because he didn't want to make Alan Rickman angry.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Maybe bring out the Hans Gruber in him. He did not want that at all. And like I did say that he did say that Linda Fiorentino was difficult to work with, and he wishes that Janine Garofalo would have gotten that part. But I don't know about Janine Garofalo. I could, I don't know.
Well, I mean, she's more comedy. I mean, and
yeah, she definitely is.
Which, man, don't get me wrong. I love her from Wet Hot American Summer and the Wet Hot American Summer series they did after that. I mean, she's still great.
Watch that.
Oh my God, get on that, Mike.
I know, and Paul is in it too, and I love Paul Rudd. And I should have watched it. I don't know why. And now this I didn't know either. I didn't realize that Kevin Smith didn't want to direct it at first.
Really?
He wanted Robert Rodriguez to direct.
I could see Rodriguez doing it.
But Rodriguez said that Smith should do it because it was like it was his script.
That would explain Salma Hayek being in it.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that was also a nice part of the film, I think.
Yes.
She always adds to everything, like, with that.
Yeah. Well, she's the full package. I mean, she's got the looks. I mean, she's a great director too.
Yeah.
Yeah, great scene in the movie. All her scenes were great. But they cut out a lot of that strip club scene. I watched some of the deleted scenes. They actually have a Jay and Silent Bob have a musical number in that scene that they cut out
in the strip club. Wow.
Yeah.
That's and Carlin, he was the Cardinal, so he wanted to do that role. He agreed to take it, but he didn't want to take off his wedding ring. So what was it? So he wore a Band-Aid. I think I heard that somewhere before, to try and hide it. Do you know that Alanis Morissette was not supposed to play God?
No.
She was supposed to play Bethany, but because Emma Thompson was going to play God, but she was pregnant, so she could not do it.
Hey, that would have just added that much more to the controversy,
Yeah, I think at that point. And then Gillian Anderson from The X-Files was his first choice for Bethany. But I don't know. It doesn't give a reason as to, But yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Oh, shit. And that was the first time you saw movies in a Kevin Smith film.
The legendary movies, yes.
Yeah, that's the first movies.
Now, I don't... Hey, was movies in Tusk? Like I said, I haven't seen Red State, but I mean... I know it was in Clerks
too. Red State. It was not. I know it wasn't in Red State. I know that, but I'm very curious because now you got me thinking, and you know what? You might be right. Yeah, I don't see anything about that.
No movies.
No. Oh, and by the way, the Yoga Hosers, the movie that comes after Tusk, you can avoid that.
I've seen it.
Oh, you did see it. Okay,
I did see Yoga Hosers because I think it was released directly to Netflix, so I watched it. And it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's horrible, but I mean,
no, it's not. It's not horrible, but it's definitely,
it's aimed for a younger demographic.
Yeah,
to say the least. But it's cool that if I was directing movies, I'd probably put my daughter and my friend's daughter, in a movie too. I can see why he did that. That was cool.
Wow.
And plus it got Johnny Depp involved, which he was, of course, they filmed Tusk and Yoga Hosers at the same time.
Right. And then you
so he managed to get Johnny Depp in 2 of his movies. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think if he ever does Moose Jaws, which is the third part of that trilogy, I think Johnny Depp is supposed to be in that one as well. I think it's written, but I don't know if he's... Because actually Moose Jaws was supposed to happen before Reboot even. I mean, Reboot happened more so because he had the heart attack, and then that just, jump-started that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that was... Oh, and speaking of that, when I did see him, I did say that I was happy that he was still alive and all that stuff. I didn't get too emotional during that, thank you. Because I would have, if I really let my emotions get the best of me, I probably would have broke down in front of him saying that.
Yeah, that would have looked really good, Mike.
Yeah, that was, Well, when I found out that he almost did die, it was a sad day for me. Not as sad as Donald dying, because Donald actually died, but,
But hey, Kevin is still reasonably young, so...
Well, I mean, he took steps to kind of make himself, healthier now, I guess, with the going vegan and such. And He's
Oh yeah, just like Jay says in the music video for "Loser," one of the songs from the soundtrack. Hey yo, you ever get your asshole licked by a formerly fat guy in a trench coat?
Yeah. You know what? I almost feel like
Jason Mewes does it
I
much
almost
better.
feel like we should move on to Reboot because it seems
we're not getting anywhere with Dogma, man.
And it seems like we're just itching to move on to Reboot anyway. I know I kind of am, just because and I know people that saw Reboot and they were like, they didn't like it. They thought it was just his same old thing, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? That's why it was so good, is because it kind of took us back to that world that we were away from for the better part of, what you figure, 2006 was Clerks 2. So then you had, you 14 years.
Yeah, and I can understand him being nostalgic about that, after almost dying, hey, he wanted to go back, and make, basically, he wanted to make Mr. Holland's opus. He wanted to make his grand opus, tie up, the Jay and Silent Bob story.
Right.
And I thought that was awesome. They did that, and man, the way, which we'll get to that. I don't want to get too much into it right now. But anyway, Dogma, I really enjoyed it, revisiting it. The continuation of and building the characters of Jay and Silent Bob was great in the movie. I loved every bit about that. The shit monster. I can't go any further without mentioning the shit monster, because that was hilarious.
That was it's a shit demon.
Yeah, the shit demon. Yeah, he sprays him with the aerosol, guaranteed to knock out foul odors. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, but that, and Chris Rock was great in it too. I mean, I really enjoyed his take on it, and just the movie's so smart. I mean, they completely turn Catholicism on its ear without being terribly offensive about it. I mean, there were a lot of people obviously that took it offensively, but really nothing about the film was terribly offensive. I mean, even from the opening, they give the little disclaimer at the beginning. I don't remember what it says, but about platypuses,
I don't remember it word for word either, but yeah.
And then it apologizes to any platypus enthusiast. And the whole movie, in all his movies, that's what I love about Kevin Smith. Right off the bat, he doesn't, in any of his films, he doesn't want you to take his film seriously. He just says, hey, just sit down, enjoy the ride, have a good time. Hopefully you'll be entertained. And then when it's over, the movie's over, go on about your life. You don't have to read too much into it.
Right. No, not at all. And that's the thing. Like, to me, that Dogma was probably the first movie that he made that I felt, in a sense, was taking risks or doing something, I mean, he still kept the humor and all that stuff, but it was still something that was, like, outside of the realm of Clerks or Mall.
Oh, yeah, and for the 90s, like we were saying, for the 90s, it was incredibly risque,
Right. Yeah, you didn't expect to see, and especially coming from him, after those Chasing Amy was a little more dramatic for him, but still, I think, this, even though it kind of kept some of that, it kept the humor, it was also just a different subject matter for him. That's something that was big, and that's kind of like why I look up to him and kind of admire him, because he's not afraid to take risks.
Yeah, very versatile.
And whether or not he does appear on the podcast in any way, shape, or form, I still got to give him credit for, at least in his career, not being afraid to go out, to think outside of the box, to go outside of the norm, and just see where you go with that.
Yeah, and he's one of the very few directors that has actually been successful at that. Usually it's kind of like when you see a comedian, a well-known comedic actor rather, tried to break into dramatic roles. How many times does that actually work? I mean, how many times is it successful and it's not just laughed at for all the wrong reasons, you know.
Yeah, that's rare. It's rare. Usually it's really rare.
Do we want to do ratings?
I mean, yeah, we could do ratings if you'd like to rate it.
Well, I'll let you go first, buddy. What do you think of Dogma? I mean,
well,
Kevin Smith's fourth film.
The fourth film, and I was still on a very big Kevin Smith high at this point. I honestly, out of, like, if we were to do a 1 to 5 scale, I would give it a 4. I don't do half ratings like everybody else does, because in my book, half ratings just move up anyway. So I would say.
See, I'm kind of conflicted now, because after revisiting it here last week, I was really high on it when I first saw it, and I still really enjoyed it. I mean, the third act, was it just me, or just the third act, and it really seemed to kind of drag a bit?
No, I mean, that does definitely have its moments where, you know, you feel action kind of slows a little bit. I get that. But
which, like I said, it was just his fourth film, so, you know, I'm not giving him any shit over it. I don't know.
Give him a shit demon.
I will give Dogma 3.5 shit demons.
3.5. Okay, that's good. Shit demons.
And I won't even spray any aerosol air freshener in its face for that.
Yeah, no, you don't want to make those disappear. So that's good. No, keep them.
Hey, and I feel bad I didn't mention how great Jason Lee was as Azazel.
Well, yeah, he's. Jason Lee is always, you know, usually pretty good. It's just a shame now that, like, he's kind of. I mean, shit, he's been relegated to just doing Alvin and the Chipmunks movies.
Yeah, which they kind of make. He pokes fun at himself in the Reboot.
Yeah.
About that, and I like that. You know, that's the thing about Kevin Smith. He's never afraid to make fun of himself. You know, nobody takes Kevin Smith less serious than Kevin Smith.
Yeah, that's definitely.
And that's why everybody loves him, or most people love him.
Yeah.
But 3.5 shit demons. I wish I could think of more to say about Dogma, but Salma Hayek, wonderful. Everybody. I mean, would you say this was his most star-studded cast for any of his films?
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
I mean, he gets a lot of cameos still, which, I mean, I always love all the cameos in his films. But, I mean, as far as main character, star-studded cast, it's hard to compete with Dogma.
Yeah, no, because I was thinking Strike Back, but then I'm like, no, shit, Strike Back was more cameos than anything. You know what I mean? It was more cameos than anything else.
I mean, we had Matt and Ben, Salma Hayek, of course, Chris Rock.
Yeah, Alan Rickman.
I should have mentioned him first.
I don't think he's ever had anyone of that caliber in a movie of his since. And I don't think that he could get someone that high on the food chain, so to speak, for like a major role in his film.
Well, and you got to think about it at the time, though, Mike. Alan Rickman, you know, he was kind of coming off of his big late 80s, early 90s swell as playing the villain. You know, he was the big bad in so many movies, and you know, and I'm sure he wanted to break away and do different things, and that's probably what led to him doing Dogma.
You know, when you think that he actually did do a Kevin Smith thing, and I'm sure even when Kevin thinks about it now, you know, to this day, he's probably still like, holy shit,
I got Alan Rickman.
Did my movie. It's like, you know, you can't. It doesn't get better than that. It really doesn't.
No.
It really doesn't.
Well, so there we go, folks. We've talked a lot about Dogma without talking about Dogma much at all. But it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Kevin Smith basically had a heart attack, and that was his epiphany movie. I don't know. That's what it seems like to me anyway. You know, because it seemed like he was done with the Viewist universe as such. But then we get this beautiful piece of filmmaking. And I didn't know what to expect at first. I mean, I went into it expecting greatness because every time I sit down for a Kevin Smith movie, I assume that it's just automatically going to be great. I don't think I was ever disappointed, except in the realm of Yoga Hosers, I felt was a little underwhelming based on his other stuff. It's not horrible. It's definitely not, you know, true Kevin Smith, but he rebounded from that. I thought Moose Jaws, which was the third in his North trilogy, was coming after Yoga Hosers, but no, he rebounded and did the reboot. So
Mike, why don't you start off telling us what a reboot is?
What the reboot is? Well, the reboot is Jay and Silent Bob going to Hollywood to stop a remake of the Blunt Man and Chronic movie.
That they went to Hollywood to try to stop the original movie back in 2006.
Right.
So this movie, it's so smart. They're parodying the reboot.
Right.
Which is the big trend now. I mean, Star Wars, everything, and I love the new Star Wars films. I mean, love them or hate them. But that's the big thing now, is, they're not doing sequels anymore. They're doing reboots. They're doing all these franchises that have, whether it be horror or whatever, instead of doing more sequels, they are going directly to doing reboots, what they call reboots. They're doing direct sequels, mind you. They're ignoring all the other films in the franchise and just doing what they call reboots of the original film. And Kevin Smith realized this, and he jumped right on it and saw an opportunity to make a great film, making fun of people making reboots. And I think he nailed it perfectly. What do you think, Mike?
Oh, he definitely did. There was, his daughter playing Jay's daughter in the movie. I thought that was...
Spoilers, folks.
Well, yeah, spoilers. If you haven't seen it, please stop this and go watch it. But if you're a diehard Kevin Smith fan, trust me, you've seen this already, I'm sure.
Yeah, and otherwise, go watch it anyway, because it'll be more entertaining than this podcast.
Yes. She definitely did good. She was a high point.
Yes, Miss Harley Quinn, Millennium Falcon.
And did you hear? And I don't know if it was because of this movie, but movies in California is they're opening up. I forget what the fuck they call it. It's not like a kiosk, but it's like a mini store. And you can get through Postmates, which is another one of those food delivery services. You can get movies delivered in California.
Holy shit.
You can eat your hater tots.
They serve hater tots?
Hater tots and some lasagna that has a meat or vegetarian option.
Just shut up, Mike. Shut up. You had me at hater tots.
Yeah. And he actually is supposedly later this year or next year, I believe they're actually opening a Mewes restaurant.
Hater tots filled with hate!
Yeah, exactly. That's what you get. But there are so many cameos in this movie, like right off the bat. And then Jason Lee in the Brody Secret Stash, right off the bat. And you had your Matt Damon pop up.
All of them. Hey, let's not blow our load too soon. There, Mike. We'll start at the beginning here. Cocksmokers. Yes. I mean, come on, Cocksmokers. The movie opens with Jay and Silent Bob have opened up a chicken sandwich restaurant next to the Quick Stop,
right? Called
Cocksmokers. And the movie opens with them getting raided by the police. They shoot in gas grenades, and Jason Mewes, I can't talk tonight. Jason Mewes runs out. Holding two pot plants, and the cop on the megaphone screams, "Drop your plants!" Of course, Jason Mewes is getting old, like the rest of us, or most of us at least, and so he didn't hear him correctly, and he assumes he meant "drop your pants." So he sets the plants down and drops his pants, revealing his heart-shaped pubes and his wiener stuck between his legs. It was the one cop that was shooting the tear gas grenades, was freaking out like, "Where's his dick? Where's his dick?" I mean, that's how you fucking open a Kevin Smith movie. But then the cameo there right at the beginning where they bust Dante
Yeah.
As he's coming into the quick stop. And they even he makes reference to Randall, which, like we were talking about earlier, what the hell happened to Randall? I mean, why has this guy not been in more Kevin Smith movies?
Yeah, it is a shame that he didn't pop up in Reboot, but I guess their, mending fences didn't happen until, just recently after Reboot was already done, so I guess he couldn't squeeze him in.
But what does it take? I mean, one of his best friends almost dies of a heart attack and ask him to be in this movie. That ain't enough.
See, I don't even know. That's what I wonder. I don't even know if he asked them to be in it. Because, see, the thing is, I don't even know what their falling out was about, but it had to be something somewhat major, I would think.
Well, I know a lot of them got upset over Jason Mewes' drug use in the early 2000s, around the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back time.
Right.
Because he pretty much hit rock bottom shortly after that film.
Yeah, so there was that. I don't think... What was Anderson in? He wasn't... Randall wasn't in Strike Back. Or not, yeah. He wasn't in Strike Back, I don't think, was he? He was in... Actually, no, I don't think he was in Dogma either.
No, he had a cameo in Dogma.
Oh, okay, yeah. So whatever happened between them must have happened after Dogma then.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if, like I said, it had to do with Jason Mewes and the situation he was in at the time. Who knows? I mean, it could have been jealousy. I mean, Jason Mewes, Clerks was his first film, and then Dogma was his second. Again, I can't remember the guy who plays Randall's name, but he was an aspiring actor, from what I understand, So, yeah, I mean, I can understand there being some jealousy there. This guy from Jersey, right off the street, that's just buddies with the director, is now starring in his films. And you got this other guy who's been in the trenches trying to make a career out of it and, not really going anywhere. All of a sudden, this other one of their friends, his director buddy, is putting this other one of their friends in the limelight. But who knows? I mean, I'm just speculating.
Yeah, it's just a shame that he missed out on so many other opportunities, it seems like, to just...
Well, yeah, I mean, Kevin Smith wanted to do Clerks 3 before the reboot.
But, honestly, it's probably better... Well, I wonder, because Clerks 3 that we're getting now has a different screenplay. The Clerks 3 that he originally wrote had, a much darker tone.
Oh, yeah?
And it involved Dante and Randall, getting older and coming to terms with getting older. And I think there was an incident where one of them has a heart attack. And this was written, obviously, before Smith had his heart attack and all that. So after that, I guess, and he decided to do this, then he, decided to take a more lighthearted approach when he rewrote it. So, but now I'm hearing that he's got a Mallrats sequel.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And he just finished the first draft of that, so who knows what's going to go on.
And it's the perfect time for it. I mean, with the whole digital age, and all the malls are, I mean, the ones that are still around, I mean, they're dying. I mean, they make fun of it, like you said, Jason Lee's cameo in the reboot. They make fun of it a little bit about them all dying. And it's sadly, I mean, it's really what's happening in America. I mean, people shop online now. It's just... Yeah. It's just like video rental stores, I love them.
Yeah,
I still love them. I still go to one every now and then. But I'll buy and rent movies online more than I'll go to the store. It's just convenient, and but I still go every now and then. I still want to support them, but I mean, they're not going to be around forever, guys.
So wait, you still have a video store there?
Yeah.
Is it it's got to be out like a mom and pop thing, right? Like nothing.
It is.
Oh, God, I love you. Where are you? Because I need to go there and I need to go to that store because there was a little mom and pop store that was around here for around where I used to live because I live maybe 40 minutes from where I used to live. And there was a little mom and pop store maybe that was in business for over 30 years. And they just finally closed last year, I think it was, because, I mean, the couple that ran it, I guess, just got to the point where they wanted to retire, so
yeah,
they sold it off. But,
Well, where I live, Mike, it's the little town I live in. It's pretty much a retirement community. I mean, we have sawmills or grocery stores. That's about, or 2 grocery stores. That's about all the employment opportunities that anyone has living in this part of the country. We have either retirees or meth heads. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it. And I think that's the only thing that's kept our local video store going, is all those retirees that, have not made the leap into the digital age. So they still go, and hats off to them. Like I said, I tried to support it myself. Not as much as I should, but I think it's awesome that they keep it going.
Do they rent like Blu-rays, or they just do VHS and DVDs? Or
they just do DVDs and Blu-rays now. I don't even think they have any VHSs left.
Oh, but that's amazing. Yeah. See, I remember the one place that I told you that was near me. The couples, or the couple, they called it either Blu-ray or regular. Like if you were going and ask for something, do you want that on Blu-ray or regular? Well, I want it on Blu-ray. Well, we only have it on regular, so I would get it on regular. And then when they would go to, like, before they would give you the disc, they'd take the disc out of a little plastic case they had it in, and they would look at it, and to clean it, I shit you not, they would palm it. They would palm the disc. And I'm like, oh, that's not going to play very well now that, So then I would get it home and I would take it out of the case and it'd have like this big fucking handprint on it. So I'd have to clean it off before I put it in, because I'm like, I put it in, it's going to skip. So
yeah, Mike's like, could you please not fondle my disc?
Yes. I wanted to say that to them several times, but I'm like, they just won't understand. And they sold like previously viewed stuff, and I'm like, I can never buy it from them.
I can see these old people. They're just making this face. They're looking up at Mike while they're violating this disc, and they're like, "Why are you making that face, Mike?
No,
are you okay?
Really.
Do we need to call an ambulance?"
I looked at them and I'm like, I want to buy this Wonka bar that you have like up there on the rack, but see you doing that to the disc, and I can't. No, it's just Yeah, so, but they're closed now, so that they'll never violate another disc again, hopefully.
Well, thank God those discs are safe now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mike has them all.
Yeah, I wanted to.
He's actually sitting on a pile of them right now.
Oh, I wanted to. I really wanted to. I really, 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 really wanted to. Because, who knows where they ended up? They just had anybody coming off the street and just, buy them for 30, 40, 50, 60% off. No. Those people aren't going to care for them. They're just going to let them sit there, and little kids will touch them. And, no. They don't know what they're doing.
And Mike cried like a bitch at the end of Toy Story 3. Not because the toys were being given away. He just related that to his loss of his Blu-rays.
See, you get it, Cody. You get it.
A disc.
You get it. And now I have to watch Toy Story 4 and see what the ending of that all was about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
I haven't either. I'm kind of holding off on that because I don't want to cry like a bitch.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Anyway, like we were saying, Jane Silent Bob Reboot.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. How about Justin Long's cameo? Was that not great?
That was amazing. But then again, he's usually always good in anything that I see.
You did realize what character he was.
He was from Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, the Randy St. John. Yeah. He did so good with that. Oh, man.
But anyway, Jane Silent Bob get duped by Justin Long into signing a contract so he'll represent him in court. And as soon as he gets them off, I'm getting ahead of myself. We can't forget about my cousin that played the judge, Craig Robinson.
Yes.
And Joe Manganiello as the bailiff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
They pulled out all the stops. Dick Wolfer, anyway, gets them off. I mean, not literally gets them off.
Right.
Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
He gets them off and immediately goes across the courtroom and sits down to the by the prosecutor because they are suing Jay and Silent Bob for their namesakes because they want to remake the Blunt Man and Chronic movie from in this, what they say is 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Or 18 years ago.
Yeah,
18.
something.
Anyway, so now, because they got duped into signing this contract, they basically have lost the right to call themselves Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, that was...
Which was pretty funny. And you're out of order. You're all fucking out of order. But yeah, so that was great. So now, in true reboot fashion, they set off on a quest, Jay and Silent Bob, to go to Hollywood to stop the reboot of Blunt Man and Chronic.
And it was good too that the way that they did it, like it, because Strike Back was kind of like a road movie if you think of it, and now like this one, they did, they took the guy's credit card because he was there trying to just like shout out the numbers, and I think that gag actually ran longer, but he cut that down somewhat. Kevin Smith did. I think I heard that on one of his podcasts. He said that they cut that down. But that was good. And then they had the Uber driver or whatever that they got on,
Fred Armisen, who is great in this film. I mean, it's more than a cameo. I mean, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he was definitely in it for, a little bit. I kind of wish they would have kept him around, even longer. But,
yeah, I kind of expected some kind of resolution to his character before the end, and it never really happened. But I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean, he was still great in it. They get to the airport and they can't fly. They're on the no-fly list.
Right.
With the lovely Molly Shannon, or used to be lovely. I mean, well, never mind. Molly Shannon, folks.
Well,
but anyway,
she she hasn't totally hit the wall, but she's headed there.
The brakes are out. She's rolling downhill. It's only a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, she suggests when they can't fly that they use the Jay and Silent Bob version of Uber, Ride Me Now.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Ride Me Now.
And of course, they end up they steal some guy's credit card number. He's a comedian. I can't remember his name. He's in a lot of Kevin Smith stuff. Well, they're riding with this guy. It's Fred Armisen, and he has a built-in microwave in his dash. And
that was great.
Yeah, they're like, "What's that smell, man? It smells like French fries." And he has from his failed business venture, he has tater tots. He cooks and gives to all of his fares.
Right.
But he started a business called Hater Tots for young girls that, I guess that's a thing. They hate people. I mean, yeah, very hateful. But anyway, it went out of business really quick because apparently a lot of disreputable organizations took a liking to Hater Tots.
Right.
So anyway, he agrees to drive them cross country to California to stop the reboot. Hey, you know what? I'm forgetting Jason Lee.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because that was
they go to the mall, man.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the mall. The mall rats are back. But so they go to Brody's Secret Stash, his store at the dying mall. Mm-hmm. And they make a couple mall rats jokes in there. But and Jason Lee lays down the rules for a reboot to him, which are basically, a reboot, which is, like we said, the going thing with movies now. You change just enough of the original to make you pay for the movie all over again. The same movie all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Lee even makes a Alvin and the Chipmunk joke. It said something about, or even Squeakquels.
Yeah, that was...
Not one of the better jokes of the film, but I appreciated it. I mean, come on, folks. Jason Lee.
I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong there, without a doubt.
But I really did like how he compared reboots to remake. So anyway, yeah, they find out that they're going to shoot a scene for the reboot at the fictional Chronic Con, which is a big convention that they hold every year for the Blunt Man and Chronic movie.
Right.
So they, with Fred Armisen's help, head cross country to stop this reboot at Chronic Con. And you know what? I'm already forgetting another very important part of Jay meeting his daughter.
First, she was like trying to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, she choked him out.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
And movies, they spot Anna Elizabeth. She is now a weather reporter, and very inappropriately at a movies, Jay spots her on the TV there. So they go to track her down first and get choked out by Kevin Smith's daughter, Jay's daughter, Millennium Falcon.
Yes. Oh, that was great.
It was. I love the line too. She's like, she tells her mom, "She's like, I told you not to get around these guys till the cops get here. These meth heads till the cops get here." And she said, "Oh, honey, they're not meth heads. They're just from Jersey."
That was great. The best was they split a ride share together. So that was the best when she kind of slipped them the weed that was
the edibles. Oh my God.
Yes.
The edibles.
And you had your Method Man and Red Man cameo from How High.
How High, yeah. But hey, there was the Matt Damon cameo before that.
Yes, there was him. I was very surprised they didn't. I mean, I know Ben Affleck is in the movie, but I was surprised that he didn't reprise, the Dogma character, and it was just kind of Matt Damon doing that by himself.
Well, I can understand that because Harvey Weinstein still owns the rights to Dogma, and that's why we haven't got a Blu-ray release of it or anything like that. Dogma was originally a Disney film.
Oh, I remember that. And then I think...
Yeah, and because of all the Catholic, I don't say hate, but they didn't like the film. Right. The idea that the film was coming out, so Disney sold it to the Weinsteins, and of course we know where that situation is now.
Right. Yeah, we're all their films are all over the place at this point, so I don't think you're going to see a proper release of that.
Not for a while, at least. Unfortunately, not till one of them dies or something. I mean, that sucks. But.
So yeah, but they were in that ride share with the Method Man and Red Man from the How High, and
Ride Me Now.
Yes, and that was the whole chocolate thing, wasn't it? Like Jay was like something like "We're gonna die" or something. They were like laughing and.
Yeah, the girls they're gonna die. These old dudes are gonna die because.
Oh right. Yeah.
And Jay's like, we've been smoking weed our whole lives. This shit ain't gonna phase us. And then they both pass out. And that's when we have the Method and Red cameo. They give them fatherly advice, if you can imagine.
Yeah. Then it jumps to the next morning.
Jay's laying ass up in the highway, and they've got Silent Bob's face shoved in his ass. And Kevin Smith, he had to think about this riding this. Like, how about I put my face in my best friend's ass?
That had to be something.
I mean, would you ever write that, Mike?
No, probably not.
I mean, you're sitting there thinking, it doesn't matter how high you are. Heterosexually, you're not going to think, you know what, I think I'll write this scene where I have my friends stick their face in my ass. Yeah, no.
Not at all.
Or where I stick my face in my friend's ass. No, yeah.
Yeah.
You get the gist of it.
It's the last place you'd want your face to be.
Indeed. But anyway, so yeah, they're moving cross country, trying to get to Chronic Con to stop the reboot. His daughter and her friend have other plans. They've got on a pedophile website and lured a pedophile in a van because they need more room for all of them because they all can't fit in the, I don't even remember what kind of car it was that Fred Armisen was driving. It was a smaller car. So they get this pedophile to show up, and he's dressed as Dom DeLuise's character, Captain Chaos, wasn't it, from Cannonball Run?
Yeah, that's it.
Jay beats the shit out of him. They take the van, speed off. They do have the conversation in the van about all the girls there being from a support group of girls who had never met their father. Yeah, and that's when Jay, which, I mean, that's a thing Kevin Smith is so good at. You know, he can blend humor and rip your heart out, too, at the same time. He knows... He's good at maintaining that balance. Just like when Jay says after she talks about being in a support group where girls who have never met their fathers, and he tells her, well, I knew your dad. He was a piece of shit. Yeah, I mean, it worked. It got me.
I think I shed a few tears during that one myself.
Speaking of which, Method and Red, I just remembered what they told Jay. What he was, I don't even know how to be a father. They're like, being a father doesn't make you a dad. So think of all the fucked up shit your dad did, and don't do that. That's how you be a good dad.
Some sage advice.
Indeed. And then they introduce the multi-ethnic group of girls. You got the Sherpa wearing Jihad Shupdu, and then there's what was it, Chen Yu?
Yeah, that's right.
Who's always talking into a microphone 24/7 doing a podcast. They make it cross country after running into Fred Armisen again and getting blasted with hater tots filled with hate. They steal the van from Jay and Silent Bob, and somehow, did you ever figure out how they track them down? Because I didn't.
No.
They track them down in L.A. and they have been abducted by a KKK group led by Chris Jericho. Right. They've been abducted by the KKK led by Chris Jericho, and which we get one of the.
He was on the season 2 premiere of Last Drive-In with Joe Bob.
Yeah. But yeah, we get a little short segment there of them being abducted, and they're going to burn them at the stake or cross. And we get one of the very rare instances where Silent Bob actually speaks.
I think that was the only time. That was his one-time speak for the movie, I think, wasn't it? I don't think... Did he say anything at the end? I don't think so.
No. But yeah, Mitch and Murray. Mitch and Murray, Sippy Daddy, you all are fucking fired. ABD. Always be duck. So, long story short, they get the keys to the van. Jay manages to free the girls while Silent Bob's creating a distraction, and they tie a rope around a porta potty and sling it all over the KKK members on their way out. Yeah, so things got shitty.
Yeah, very shitty at that point.
I mean, we're not talking Michael J. Pumpkin Spice shitty, but
no,
pretty shitty. The next morning, they're all hanging around the van, and Jay and his daughter, who doesn't know that she's his daughter, are talking, and she is talking about not wanting anything big, would just like to meet her dad and, have coffee with him and talk about shit. And I don't remember why, but at that point, he tells her that God looks like Alanis Morissette, which, was a callback to Dogma. That was great. They had several callbacks to Dogma in this movie. But then they finally make it to Chronicon, as to where we are greeted with a hologram of none other than Chris Hemsworth, Thor himself, which the girls are all making very inappropriate, suggestive. Yeah, you get the picture. And the funny thing is the hologram, Chris Hemsworth is saying, please do not hump the hologram. Please do not fillet the hologram. They paid me a lot of money to do this. It's just a job.
Speaking of that, the Chronicon, I was very surprised that Mark Hamill didn't show up. I
was too, I really expected him to be in this film.
Somebody said, I think at the Reboot Roadshow, I think Kevin did say something that because with Star Wars and Disney, that they wouldn't let him do it or something like that.
Yeah, that's a shame. That would just been another great cameo in it. I mean, especially with all the ending of the Star Wars new trilogy, he's kind of popular again.
Right, and he was cock knocker. So
he was. Speaking of which, who do you think in the Silent Bob and Jay and Silent Bob reboot? Who do you think? We had Kilmer as Blunt Man, and I don't remember who's Chronic. Who do you think at the end of the trailer was Cockknocker? See, I'm throwing this out there. I think it was McConaughey.
Yeah, could have been.
I could see him in that role.
He would have done it if asked, if he seems like that type of person.
Well, yeah, he's a big stoner.
So that's something him and Smith have in common at that point.
Indeed. And we can't, speaking of stoners, we cannot gloss over the awesome cameo of Tommy Chong.
No, not at all. That was another surprise.
That was a crossover between two universes that I thought was long overdue. So if they get to ChronicCon, they see the Hemsworth hologram, they go their separate ways because Jay still is determined to stop this reboot. Mm-hmm. And his daughter is just, wanting her friend to be in the reboot, the fan scene that they're going to get the opportunity to be in, or they think they're going to get the opportunity to be in. But turns out they get there just a little too late, and it's all full. They're not letting anybody else in. Oh, and we can't forget the Kevin can wait joke. We gotta stop Kevin Smith. Kevin can wait. But anyway, at this point, the main characters go their separate ways, and Jay and Silent Bob basically go through a virtual history of Kevin Smith films, which begins when they run it. It starts running into I can't remember the actor's name, Oswald from the Drew Carey Show.
Diedrich Bader.
Diedrich Bader, thank you. And he always plays the same character in every movie he's in, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's no different in this movie. And he stops them, and through the whole movie, and I don't know why, but the whole movie they're making references to "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead," and it finally pays off here because Keith Coogan himself finally comes out here in front of or behind Diedrich Bader in the Celebrity Lounge and says they're out of Swedish fish in there, so man, the fishes are done, and you finally get payoff to this joke that they've been building at the whole movie for what reason I do not know, but it's still funny. But anyway, they get in on the panel where we have James Van Der Beek and Jason Biggs, who played Chronic and Blunt Man and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Jason Biggs just fucking ripping this reboot. He's called it a piece of shit. And Van Der Beek's like, yeah, whatever, it'll be good. He's all on board for, he's just trying to make a buck. But Jason Biggs isn't having any of it. To which he calls him Van Der Bitch. And Dawson's Creek replies, calls him a pie fucker.
Yeah, the pie fucker.
The pie fucker. Then they go through the comic book man booth, which is just cool. Which, only lasts a couple seconds. But, and then they go through the Clerks. They walk into a room and it's black. They're black and white. Everything's black and white, just like in the original Clerks. And it's got the cast of Clerks minus Randall, which was pretty awesome. And then they finally get to Ben Affleck. I don't remember what his character was from Chasing Amy. Forgive me.
Holden McNeil, that's it.
Holden McNeil. But it turns out he's the guest of honor at that year's Chronic Con, so he gets him backstage passes, but not before introducing them to his daughter, Amy, which he had in vitrally with, what's her name from Chasing Amy?
That Alyssa Jones.
But they going through he goes into a big whole sad speech. Not sad, tell him about the importance of being a dad and how much it's changed his life and now how he spends, and they even threw in a Chasing Amy reference because he says now he spends most of his days chasing Amy, which is a little girl, which kind of opens Jay's eyes, and he kind of sees it's more important to help his daughter and help her live her dream than it is for them to stop the reboot. They rush off to help his daughter get into the reboot, her and her friends, and they get in there, and then we get the classic switch. You have to have somebody in a cat suit in a Jay and Silent Bob movie. Turns out their friend Chun Yu, or whatever the hell her name was. I don't remember what the hell her name was.
I don't
Shin Yu. He rips off her wig and is wearing a cat suit, surprisingly enough, and is a Russian spy and plans to execute Kevin Smith on stage in front of a live audience.
Yeah, that was something with him playing himself.
Oh yeah, and he made himself an asshole too, which I love. I love it when an actor or a director plays herself in a film and plays themselves as an asshole. It puts them up at a higher level for me.
Yeah.
And which he does. He does a great job of it. Gets choked out by his daughter because she suddenly realizes that Kevin Smith looks a lot like Silent Bob. So when he goes backstage, she chokes him out. And they do the classic cartoon mirror gag. And I love this, where Silent Bob and Kevin Smith are both walking past the mirror and they're miming each other. Or Silent Bob's miming Kevin Smith, and then she chokes him out. But I thought that was a nice touch. I really like that. But yeah, they get out. She's speaking for Kevin Smith, who is, surprisingly enough, his first AD is very frustrated because Kevin Smith isn't talking to him anymore, and he's just having this little girl talk to him because, and she says he's lost his voice. Anyway, at this point, Shin Yu reveals her secret identity. The army of cock knockers roll out through the crowd. They knock Silent Bob over the head and throw him into the next set and lock the door, which the next set is, what was it, Heavy Metal Graveyard? Was that it, Mike?
I think so.
But anyway, apparently on one episode of that show, they built a Iron Man suit.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, to which they're about to assassinate Kevin Smith, and Jay tells Millie that he's her dad, and they're going to execute Jay first, and to which Silent Bob, Iron Bob, bashes the door down and starts kicking everybody's ass. It's a big battle after that. They light up one of the last one of Jay and Silent Bob's golden strains of weed to knock out the cock knocker troopers, to which Sophia, the deaf friend of Millie, knocks out Shin Yu because she's deaf. Shin Yu was using like a sonic disruption device or some shit like that. He knocks her out. Kevin Smith, so stoned, standing there from Golden Strain that they lit up, that he's giving a play-by-play of what's going on. All the characters are where they're supposed to be. Okay, now we should do a slow dissolve and then go to the resolution, wrap it up, and which they do. Yeah. Which it ends with Jay and Millie standing in front of the quick stop, or in front of the cock smokers. And Silent Bob brings them coffee to drink, like she'd been talking about, just wanted to drink coffee with her dad. And they wrap it up in the credits. You know, you get the one more cameo by Dante coming in to unlock the store that morning, and to which Jay tells Millie, he's like, we've been shoving gum in that guy's lock for 25 years.
That was great when he did that, yeah.
Yeah, good
and then
stuff.
It went to Stan Lee in the credits.
Yes, that tugged at the heartstrings.
Yeah, that definitely did.
It certainly did.
As for ratings, what would you rate this?
I know you don't do half ratings, but I hope you'll allow me to do it one more time.
No, you can do it. You can do it.
I've got to give this one 4.75 shit monsters.
4.75. Well, if you're going to give it a 4.75, I'm going to give it a 5.
5 shit demons. That's fair enough.
That's definitely what I give it.
If Kevin Smith never makes another film, which I'm sure he will, if this is the last film he makes, I'm good with that. I mean, it was a satisfying end to the Jay and Silent Bob story.
It was.
That being said, what do you think's going to come next, Mike? Clerks 3 or Mallrats 2?
I'm hoping for Clerks 3, but you never know. I thought we were going to get Moose Jaws before we got this, but that is apparently like gone now or something.
Oh, I hate to hear that. I mean, I would like to see. I just hope Kevin does more horror. I thought he nailed it with Tusk.
He actually has a horror anthology coming out. I forget the name of it, but I think it's coming out soon.
Oh, hey, did you hear that he's directing the new animated He-Man movie?
I did, yes.
Apparently they've got some pretty big names signed on for it, so I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, I'm on board. Definitely. When it, I mean, I know everything is being delayed and shuffled around, but I'm down for it when it happens.
Yeah, I'd certainly like to see his take on it. And, I mean, if he throws in an animated Jay and Silent Bob, I'd be okay with that, too.
Yeah. I mean,
which they did an animated Jay and Silent Bob movie, didn't they?
They did. It's Jay and Silent Bob super groovy cartoon movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Have you ever seen the animated Clerk series?
No, I never watched
it. Ran
it
for 6 episodes.
Wow, that's it?
Yeah, because ABC pulled it. But it is one of the funniest things you'll ever see. It really is.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out then. I mean, I remember when it came out, and I just didn't get around to it. It was like, it was here and gone so quick.
Yeah, that was it pretty much. Well, that about does it for this episode of Rabbit and Red. But for Cody, I'm Michael J. And we will see you next time.
Adios.
That was horrible. That was horrible. That was horrible. That was horrible.